Welcome to the We Grow Together podcast, where we believe that our collective growth is the key to unlocking our individual potential. I'm your host, Laura DiFrancesco, entrepreneur, corporate attorney, investor, and founder of Dean Street Law, Flourish Co-working Space, Ethereal Farms, Laura DiFrancesco, LLC, and a few more. In each episode, I'll be sharing solo insights and engaging in thought-provoking conversations with community leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Together, we'll delve into inspiring stories, best practices, and tactical tips, all rooted in our philosophy that we grow together. Our mission is to support, educate, and celebrate billions of women and entrepreneurs in the pursuit of their dreams, embracing their most authentic self, and living a well-lived life. Join me as we explore entrepreneurship, lifestyle design, wellness, and a lifetime of learning. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned business owner, or someone looking to design a life you love, this podcast is for you. Tune in to the We Grow Together podcast, because by sharing our stories and learning from one another, we can achieve more than we ever thought possible. Welcome to the latest episode of the We Grow Together podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode because it is all about building a business from the ground up, the foundations of entrepreneurship. Obviously, I have thought about this a lot because I have 5 businesses plus of my own, Ethereal Farms, which I'm here currently with our luxury Airbnbs, Dean Street Law, corporate law firm, Flourish Co-working and Event Space in Westchester, Pennsylvania, as well as our educational platform, Laura DiFrancesco, which has publishing, as well as real estate investments and a few others. So I'm really excited to talk about this. When you start a business, it is fairly different from business to business. Of course, starting a law firm is going to be very different logistically, the tasks that you do from starting a co-working and event space. But if you're thinking about the categories of tasks, the pillars, the structure, that is almost the exact same. While it has different details and variations, the structure, the pillars are the same from business to business. So if you aren't aware, we have a course called 60 Days to Launch Your Business. It goes into this in greater detail, really from the ground up. It has over 14 hours of lessons in it. It has over 100-page workbook of starting your business, the helping you build a business plan, helping you to think through your website, your legal documents, everything you need. So we have a lot that we have in terms of resources with that. We also have legal foundations. Legal foundations are as if you had a lawyer on call to be able to answer questions. So it's going to go through the foundational aspects of starting your business. It has the information about intellectual property, contracts, the operational aspects, the different types of legal entities, the masterclass on your business law. It's going to have your legal crash course for business in it, and dozens of videos in there. So check out all the show notes. Will include links for all of our courses, and you can look at the exact types of videos and content that are included in each. We also have the startup bundle. The startup bundle is what you need legally to start a single member limited liability company, which is a type of legal entity, and several others. The website bundle, which is all the legal documents for your website. So we have a lot of start your business resources, and we also have a free resources as well, including, I think, a free legal crash course for business, as well as others. So there's a lot of resources that we have. We'll link them all in the show notes. Today is going to be just little snippets of the foundation of building a business. It's a process that you go through. Business and entrepreneurship is the mirror, which will show you all of the things that you need to work on in yourself, because your business can only be as successful as you are individually, because it is an extension of you. So as you build it and it becomes an extension of your team, it's going to be only as good as your team is. So that's why I'm constantly thinking of personal, professional leadership development in part and parcel with my business development. Let's dive into some of these different aspects of building a business. First, it's going to be your idea. I am an idea gal. I have ideas all the time. I've come up with some of the coolest ideas that have actually come to market years and years after I've come up with them. I do not pursue every idea. I write down every idea. I catalog every idea. I start to think it through. Coming up with a business idea is easy. Coming up with a business idea that you want to pursue and invest your time, attention, energy, resources in is a whole different matter. So whenever I have a business idea, it starts to go through a rigorous process of me evaluating whether it's worthwhile. Do I really want to live that business? As an entrepreneur, especially if you're doing a startup, you will live the business. You will live every aspect of the business. If you want to have a smoothie store, but the demographic that you want to sell to is buying smoothies at 6 to 8 a.m. and you are not a morning girl, is that realistic for you? Is that the life that you want to live? If you had to fill every single role within the business, are you going to be happy doing that? It may not be easy. It may not be what you want to do long term, but will you do that? Are you committed? Are you committed to every single role if you had to? Is this something that you want to put your money into, your time into? Before I think of whether it's going to work for the world, I think of whether this idea will work for me. That is the biggest litmus test that you need to do on every business idea that you have, because if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work, because you are putting so much of your time and energy into the business. And if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to be committed enough to see it through to the end, because business isn't successful generally immediately. It's generally not successful for several years. So if you can't commit to doing this for several years, fully imagining you're the only person, worst comes to worst, it's just not going to be a successful business. Then once you think and decide whether it's a successful business for you, it works for you, it's the business you want to invest your time and energy into, it's the persona that you want to graduate and grow into, then you decide, is it going to be marketable? Is it something people will buy? Is it something that you can bring to market? How can you test it? What are going to be the costs associated with it? Is it the business that's going to be successful? Question number one, is it the right business for you? Question number two, will it be successful? And question number three is it the right time? Because just because it's the right business for you and it's a business that will be successful doesn't mean that it's the right time in your life to pursue it. And I say that because I started Dean Street Law first. Dean Street Law is not capital intensive. It is easy to start. It is not easy to be a lawyer. You have to do years of work to be a lawyer, get your license, etc. But once you are a lawyer, it's easy to start a law firm. You don't have to buy a building. You don't even have to have a physical space. You don't have to buy a lot of equipment. You do have to pay for a lot of insurance. You do have to pay for a lot of technology. So there is capital requirements, but it is nothing compared to the capital requirements of starting a co-working and event space or luxury Airbnbs at a farm. And so that's why Dean Street Law, in addition to other reasons that we've shared on the podcast previously, demand from prior clients, etc., that's why I started Dean Street Law first. The other business that I was starting immediately after I left Big Law, because it was not capital intensive, was writing books and sharing my knowledge. So I never planned for the capital intensive businesses to be my first businesses, because I only wanted to start capital intensive businesses once I had enough runway for success, because I self-fund everything. Now, if you're fundraising, we're going to talk about that later, that's a different story. And it may still be the right time in your life. But you have to think about these things critically of, is it the right business for me? Is it the right business for the market? And is it the right time for this business? And sometimes you have to be very conscientious of, if an idea is so far ahead of its time and there aren't other ideas like it, it's going to take a long, long time to educate your consumer base and to get adaptation and for people to start utilizing your product or service. So consider that in your timeline as well. Co-working was extremely new to the suburban Philadelphia area when I started Flourish co-working space. It took a lot of education, and that you have to build that into your timeline, especially when you're thinking about financial projections. Don't assume that because you're creating an idea that's been done in the cities or in more progressive cities such as New York City or Los Angeles that it's going to be successful in the same time period in your small town. It's just a reality that adoption takes time and education takes time. So consider that as you're considering your projections. The next idea, or the question that I have from one of the team members, are what are common mistakes entrepreneurs make when choosing a business idea and how to avoid them? I see common mistakes as over glamorizing the day-to-day of the business. When I say, do you want to live in the business? I don't mean, do you want to live the Instagram version of the business? I mean, do you want to live the actual day-to-day tasks of the business? A co-working and event space is a lot of coordinating between people who want to come to the space, answering phone calls, answering emails, promoting the space. Do you want to live that? Essentially, a lot of opening a co-working event space after you do the design and the build out and everything like that is marketing and sales. Is that something that you want to live in? Because your business might not be successful enough to hire full-time help. It's just the reality of business. And if your business goes through financial hardship, like a co-working event space that's shut down for 4 months through a pandemic, what are you going to do to continue to make the business be successful and be viable? For me, that meant that I kept my team on for a year. And while the business was not making money, I was continuing to invest my funds into business. And then after a year of COVID and the business still not rebounding, then we had to take a look at things and start from scratch. And basically, I was the business for quite a long time. And that's not something you want to experience, but you have to be prepared. If you want to be successful in business, you have to know that come hell or high water, you are in it. That's important. And then what about market research in validating a business idea? What key elements should be researched? Market research is very tricky. So it's very hard to do market research that will be accurate in telling you whether or not you should start a business. Market research is very helpful once you have a business to be able to pivot, develop your product, continue to evolve and be better. However, someone saying on a survey whether or not they would buy a $20 product does not mean that they're spending money for a $20 product. So rather than doing your typical market research, I would do prototype and pop-up type of analyses. If I do a pop-up with prototypes, or if I can do minimum viable products and get that out there, are people buying it? How can I start this business without investing all that it needs to test to make sure that it works? So can I do pop-ups? Can I do prototypes? Can I start selling it on Kickstarter or campaigns like that where people pre-order? That will give you market research. But just the surveys and stuff and getting opinions from people, that's not really helpful, because you have to make sure that they're your right demographic. And then honestly, as you create a business, you realize that your ideal demographic that you think is different than your actual ideal demographic, and you pivot the business and you pivot your offerings and your products, and it's an evolution. So you don't want to just not pursue an idea because someone who actually probably isn't your ideal person isn't saying that they would spend $20, when you have to kind of figure those things out. Once you are in business, you just don't want the business to cost a lot during that initial time that you're really finagling and finessing your minimum viable product, your prototype, your pop-ups, anything that you're doing to test. So I would focus instead on market research. Do your market research. I'm not saying don't do your market research. Absolutely. Figure out what people are pricing it in. That's all a part of your business plan, but it's not to validate your idea. It is to understand the landscape and to see how you can position yourself to be different. To validate your idea, you need to test it. You need to sell it. You need to start working with it, not to get market research to validate an idea. So I hope that's been helpful in explaining that. Discover the magic of ethereal farms, nestled in the heart of the rolling hills and draping forests of Chester County, Pennsylvania's wine country. Our luxury accommodations and tranquil landscapes provide the perfect escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Enjoy serene walks among meadows, cozy nights by the fire making s'mores, and unforgettable moments with our friendly farm animals. Plus, it's just next door to our sister farm, Wayvine Winery and Vineyard, where you can enjoy live music, food trucks, and estate-made wines, farm-to-table cocktails, and a curated selection of craft beers. You'll also have access to more than 1,000 acres of hiking. At Ethereal Farms, we believe in the power of nature to inspire and rejuvenate. Plan your getaway today and experience the serenity and charm that only Ethereal Farms can offer. Tips for writing a business plan. My biggest tip for writing a business plan, of course, we go into this in really great detail on the 60 Days to Launch Your Business course and our bundle with the booklet and everything that's 100 pages. We go very in depth into doing this. Business plans are like your Google directions, MapQuest directions, I should say. A business plan is like your MapQuest directions. It assumes a certain amount of stuff at a particular point in time, and it gives you the feedback and direction at that particular point in time. As you're driving, you don't just do what the MapQuest direction says. If there's a tree down in front of you, a stop sign, a pedestrian crossing, you have to react and operate your business in real time. The reason you do a business plan is because it helps you make informed decisions as you're operating your business. It creates a solid foundation for you to use as a catalyst for moving forward. But it is not the end all be all, and you have to operate the business that you have, not the business that you plan to have. So important. So business plans are for preparation and some of direction and operation. But then once you create it, you're in operation mode. And so you reference it, but it's really the work that you need to do to be prepared to start making informed decisions in your business. So obviously there's tons of different sections of your business plan. We go in through it in detail in the 60 Days to Launch Your Business course, everything from market research to pricing to coming up with your unique value proposition, unique selling proposition, competitive analysis, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, all of that we go over in the course. So I'll let that for further detail because it's very detailed in that. Next section I want to talk about is securing funding. So I'm a corporate attorney. I work with clients in fundraising for their business. I am creating a lot of educational resources around this to reduce the disparity of men and women receiving funding and access to capital. I talked about this in our last episode of Empowering Women Entrepreneurs. So I'm really excited to share these resources because equitable access to information is something I'm so passionate about. I think it can be a tremendous driver of change in our society and in our country as a whole. So with respect to funding, there's different types of funding. I just have notes because I want to make sure I cover all of them. So types of funding, how can you decide which type of funding is best suited for your needs? So I have a whole guide on this. It's on my website, deanstreetlaw.com. You can look at our guides to really look at the different types of funding. So one, you can self-fund. You can fund just from your own funds. That means you're going to have 100% control. You're going to have all of the benefits. You have all of the upside, all of the downside. Everything's you. Personally, for me, this is very aligned with me. So you have to figure out what's aligned with your values. Now, there's others opportunities. You can have debt. So debt is something either from friends and family, evidenced by a promissory note, or it's a loan from a financial institution. You have an obligation to pay them back. With a financial institution, that's hard and fast, and you have interest rates, and you have to pay them back in certain time periods. When you have private loans, you could do something a little bit more flexible where you pay them back out of the revenue from the business or out of the profit from the business, a little bit more like equity. So you have more ability to work that in a way that would be favorable and more like equity. The benefit is that debt costs a lot less than equity. It costs a lot less to pay an interest rate than it does to give someone a portion of your upside, a portion of the value of the business that's going to grow over time and may far, far eclipse the value of the investment that they made. Now, the tough part about it is an obligation. You could have forgivable debt if it's, friends and family that want to do something more like an investment. The benefit is that it doesn't require nearly as much legal documentation as equity. When you are fundraising and you're selling equity in your business, you are getting way, way into legal compliance requirements. You should not have any debt with private lenders or equity without working with a lawyer. And when you're fundraising for equity, you are in a whole new realm of legal compliance with the Securities and Exchange Commission, with each state's securities laws. There's a lot of compliance requirements. And the less sophisticated the investor, the more compliance requirements that you have to protect them as consumers and as investors. So if that's a conversation you want to have a conversation with me about that. There's venture capital, private equity. Venture capital usually invests in early stage companies before they're mature, before they have consistent cash flow, and they usually invest minority interest. Private equity generally invests more mature companies that are more established, have a more significant, reliable cash flow, and they typically purchase majority, if not 100% of the company. And then you have hedge funds, which are going to be managing a lot of public capital or private capital, and they're going to be making minority investments and really mature, stable companies for the most part may also be doing derivatives. They may also be investing in other things that are more risky, but these are kind of not hard and fast rules, but general characterizations of each of them. So of course, self-funding, pros and cons. Pros, you have all the upside. Con, you can only get as far as you can bootstrap it. So it's a lot of upside, but you also have your own downside. With respect to debt, you have the obligation, and so that's your con. But the pro is that it costs a lot less than equity, and it's getting you beyond your own personal ability to finance the business. And when you have equity, you are sharing a lot of the upside with others, but it does provide you the ability to also share the downside. And you have to be very careful. And of course, it's very expensive to fundraise with equity. So hopefully those are some different considerations to think of. There are SBA loans, Small Business Administration loans, where you can get a loan from others, from businesses, or from banks rather. You can get a loan from banks that are backed by the SBA, so it's guaranteed by the SBA, so they're more likely to lend. But I will say that does require much more evidence of a stable, secure business, 3 years financials, etc. So one of the ways to use SBA fundraising if you're new to entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship through acquisition, where you buy a business. So you don't always have to start a business. You can buy a business. If you're interested in entrepreneurship through acquisition, I have so many resources on that. I have the Deal Making with Laura DiFrancesco podcast, which is my other podcast where I talk all about entrepreneurship through acquisitions and mergers and acquisitions. And we also talk about that in Acquisition Insights. And if you go to deanstreetlaw.com and look at our guides, you can find tons of guides that will help you in starting your business. In addition to the guides on fundraising, so with respect to the guides, we have ones on different types of legal entities for starting your business, ones on social media and intellectual property, fundraising, timeline of acquisition of a business, and so much more. So tons of guides. We also have the Deal Making with Laura DiFrancesco podcast, all of our courses and resources, our blog on Dean Street Law as well. So there's so many different things that we have. Discover Flourish Co-working Space, where your best ideas come to life in a lush, sustainable, and inspiring environment. Nestled in the heart of Westchester, Pennsylvania, Flourish is more than a workspace. It's a community that nurtures your growth. Whether you're an entrepreneur, creative, or professional, you'll find the perfect setting to thrive or host events. Come as you are, and let's grow together. Book your tour today and start flourishing. Let's dive into just a couple other fundraising aspects. So angel investors, it is their profession to invest in small businesses, and they are going to be investing in minority investment. Again, when you're fundraising and bringing on equity, there's a lot of legal components. So I highly recommend speaking with an attorney. If you'd like to schedule a complimentary consultation with Dean Street Law, you're welcome to. And then we also have crowdfunding, things like Kickstarter. And then you have other things like I Fund Women. So there's a lot of benefits to crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a great way to raise capital while pre-selling. There's a lot of different ways you could fundraise in crowdfunding through equity, through debt, or through pre-sales. So there's different avenues to do that. There's so many different websites on this as well. And I've done modules in the $1 Million MBA program and the $1 Million Ventures platform with a lot of information on this. So if you want to check that out, we'll link the platform for $1 Million Ventures as well that goes into all of these in greater details. So key elements of successful pitching, like I mentioned before in our last episode, talking about the access to capital. So it's really important when you're thinking of pitching investors or someone to give you a loan or something that you treat it very professionally and give them all of the data and statistics to show exactly why you need those funds, what they will be used for, and how they can expect a return on their investment. And don't oversell it, be very honest. And then, of course, make sure that you have the legal documentation necessary to be able to secure those funds. So it's not inexpensive to fundraise, but it's well worth it if it's the right decision for you. So next, in terms of building a business, think about building your team. So building a team is one of the things that I love to think about first, because I love to think about the growth of the business. And so I created my dream team for my businesses in law school before I even had a business to start. It's something you can start early on before you're ready to start hiring, to make sure that you have the idea and vision for the growth and trajectory of the business. So that's something I absolutely love doing. And then as you bring people on, make sure that you're documenting your teams and systems, you're documenting your trainings. We have all of those on our Google Drive. We have standard operating procedures so that there's a standard for how things are done, and so that it's easy to train others on the different aspects of your business, so that it's easy to onboard them, transfer tasks, and etc. And then also have very clear communications and clear trainings. And when you're hiring, think very critically of who it is best for you to hire first. I usually hire first for business and fund generating aspects of the business, and hire for the greatest ROI for each hire first. So that could be having someone for Ethereal Farms who's doing the cleaning, because we get turnover and that's really important. So while it's not bringing in new people, it's making sure that all of our current customers are serviced well and they're happy. And then as you continue to develop your business, you're going to make sure you refine that business product, service, and your business overall. Continue to develop your standard operating procedures. I think of any friction in my business as the greatest opportunity for improvement. And then I plan that improvement immediately if it's urgent, or the next quarter or the same quarter, depending on prioritization. And then when you're marketing and launching your business, I go through all of this in the 60 days to launch your business course. But when you are marketing your business and launching it, it is a lot more work than you think it will be, because a new business, there's so much out there. There's so many other businesses. There's so much social media and claims for people's attention. It's hard to get new people in the door. That's why your marketing strategy and your launch strategy is so important. It should be tailored to what your business is, build hype, and know that you're building the funnel. The funnel of awareness is going to be building your top line funnel of people who know about you, to people who care about you, to people who want to engage with you, to people who want to buy you, to your actual customers, and then your happy customers that then share about you. So if you're thinking of a launch and you want 100 people there, you probably need to invite 5,000 people. I am just letting you know, maybe 3,000 people, and it probably needs to be personal invites. So it takes a lot more than you think it will, but it's well worth it to make sure that you are successful. Of course, post-launch, making sure that you're evolving the business, continuing that marketing, continuing the evolution of your business and product and service, and continuing to build that brand, because your launch is just the beginning. It is a great journey from there. It's something that we work on every day, and it typically takes 3 to 5 years for a business to be successful. So don't give up in the first year. Position yourself for success. Don't overspend. Make sure that your projections, dream big, but prepare for the worst. So projections, I always like to say, are best case, worst case, and moderate case scenario. You should be aiming for best case, preparing for worst case times 10. It is an evolution. It will teach you to be the best version of yourself, and that will continue to help you thrive and your success. I hope this little snippet has been helpful. We have so many more resources in this area, so I'm excited for you to continue diving into those. Please be sure to share this episode with anyone who it may benefit, aspiring entrepreneurs, new business owners who might need a little bit of help, and tag me at Laura DiFrancesco at Flourish Westchester. And thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the We Grow Together podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you, provided valuable insights, and brought you closer to your more authentic self. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to give a 5-star review and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Also, be sure to screenshot and share on social media whenever you can. Sharing your support of the podcast really helps us to grow and continue making episodes just like this. You can see all of the links in the show notes for more access to guides, all of our social media information, resources, how to connect with us. And I hope that you join us in the next episode, where we'll be sharing more innovative ideas, stories, all with our philosophy that we grow together. I'll see you in the next episode.